taken the view 26 ITR page 27 Supreme Court. If the assessee acquires the right to receive, again that I have discussed, then only the question of paying the tax arises. Your Honors, I can understand there are two more judgments are there. One is the case of Ajay Gulia, where part of the sale consideration, the citation is 209 taxman page 295.
It is given in the
there, if the assessee receives only a part of sale consideration and balance amount was to be received in 3 succeeding years, subject to fulfillment of certain conditions, no material on record or in agreement suggesting if entire consideration or part was not paid. Your Honor, in this case the consideration was ascertained, and therefore the court, the Honorable High Court has taken the view, yes, it can be taxed. I also accept. If the consideration is determined, it is known, it is ascertainable, and then merely because I have not received in that year, I can still be taxed. That is what the Honorable
Maybe you are trying to say that it will not be taxed. It should not be taxed only merely because it is contingent. There is an uncertainty.
Yeah, that's what I am saying. I may receive, I may not receive that. That's what I say. Yes, sir.
That's because you have not received right now.
Yeah. And it has not arisen as the section 45 says there should be approval and it should arise to me. A section is on transfer, whether it is arising to me. In this year, I only received 2 crores, and as regards 6 crores, I may receive, as I said, I may receive, I may not receive also.
So you are trying to say the section doesn't trigger itself.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Counsel, can you enlighten whether there are 3 scenarios? Your case is that SSC has not received, or the amount has not accrued, or amount was uncertain. Out of the 3 possibilities, what is your position?
See, in this case, only 2 crores amount has arisen to me. So 6 crores is contingent amount I may receive, I may not receive. It is depending upon where the terms are, that if there are profits in the future year, then only I will be entitled to the consideration. Otherwise, I will not be. I have taken, as I said, I have taken that risk. Now, sir, one more judgment I would just like to cite, Your Honor. It is TV Sundaram Iyengar. It is 30.
It is reported.
Yeah. So there, what the proposed Honorable Supreme Court has said, Section 12B renders liable to tax the profits that have arisen to an assessee by the sale of his capital asset. Again, the same thing. If the consideration arises. Okay, that's all. Okay. Your Honor,
there shall be capital. You have offered capital in subsequent year because they have to transfer in that year. So how do we reconcile that with Section 45?
I am saying because it has arisen to me, though it was transferred in that year. I have
made a statement in the back that transfer taken place this year. We have put up our statement.
Yes.
Now say that can there be other transfer?
There are 2 things. There should be transfer and consideration should arise to me. I am saying consideration has arisen to me in the subsequent year. Your Honor, there is all these judgments have also been elaborately discussed in the case of ITO versus Hemal Raju Shetty. It's Bombay High Court judgment. It is 68taxman.com. It is reported. All these issues have been, whatever I have discussed, have been elaborately discussed, and they have also come to the conclusion. On the facts of that case, total was 20 crores consideration. They have received only 2.70 crores. Honorable Bombay High Court has taken the view on what can be taxed is only 2.70 crores. Now coming to the second case, Your Honor, brother, Mr. C is a brother. He has received the amount in the subsequent year. The similar facts were there. And that we have offered. The issue for our consideration is whether reopening is possible. As I said, Your Honor, though the transfer has taken place in this earlier year, but since the consideration was known to me and has arisen and was received by me in the subsequent year, and all the information was available with the department, there is no question of reopening the assessment. And see, there are instances in this Income Tax Act, Section 45(1)(a), which has taken the view that if there is a destruction of asset, but the tax will be in the year in which I receive the amount. There is Section 45(5), which has taken the on compulsory acquisition. They also accepted that proposition that income capital gain can arise in the year of receipt. That is what I want to say, Your Honor.
First gentle submission. Learned here has sought a partner of the honorable bench for wearing a pink dress. I also seek the same partner because I am also wearing a colorful dress. There are certain fundamental issues raised by the AR. And they are somehow saying that there could be multiple years of transfer of the same transaction. There could be multiple years of capital gain. I am referring to both the cases on a totality basis. They are saying that out of the same transaction, there could be some partial taxation in the year 1, something in the year 2, something in the year 3. This whole process is totally unjustified or uncalled for in the law. Because as we understand in the Manjula Shah's case, as we understand, the transfer, the insurance of transfer, the cost of acquisition, the indexation, there are certain ingredients of a capital gain transaction, which is a transfer should take place. There should be a cost of acquisition which could be indexed, and there could be consideration which should be arising as the learned AR is referred to. Now, in year 1, suppose you tax a part of the transaction and take the cost of acquisition of whatever is available. In the year 2, what is it that you will reduce? And the year 2, what is it that there will be a transfer? When the AR is saying that there will be multiple years of taxation of capital gain arising out of the same transaction.
But the learned AR had said that they have offered in the subsequent years as a capital gain.
That is exactly my point, Your Honor. In the year 1, capital gain from the same transaction. In the year 2, capital gain from the same transaction. In the year 3, same. Now, where is the transfer in the year 2? Where is the transfer in the year 3?
Department and acceptance,
Therefore, we are raising certain fundamental issues which will be sort of binding on, let's say, we clarify the law, and you are absolutely right people actually, be honest, to clarify the whole process because it's a fundamental issue. How can there be multiple transfers? How can there be multiple reductions of cost of acquisition? How can the cost of acquisition year 1 be different from year 2, be different from year 3?
Correct. But what happens if you receive substitution for subsequent? It will get tax free?
No, Your Honor, there I have to make some submissions. The learned AR says that the consideration arises when he gets the money amount. He says that arises is after the accrual, there was some mention. Your Honor, if you really go to the, there is some Supreme Court judgment which he has not referred. I will also submit it afterwards, Your Honor. Pardon me for that. But the judgment actually says that accrual and arisal are two sort of having this some difference. And accrual, and for understanding accrual and arisal, one has to do dictionary meanings. Now, if you really go to dictionary meanings, arisal means surface. Arising means come up on the earth. Arising means happen for the first time. But accrual means it gathers some mass, it gathers some momentum, it gathers some shape. So therefore, accrual should be after the arisal, Your Honor. This whole argument that arisal should be after the accrual is not in keeping with the general understanding of the terms.
So according to you, he should have been taxed in the year 1?
Absolutely, Your Honor, because that is how...
Alright, now what happens in the case when he doesn't receive those amounts because it is subject to the profitability of that company? It's a contingent. Now if he doesn't receive that amount, what happens? He has already paid the taxes.
Your Honor, he can always go for a 264. He can always go for a revision of whatever he has done. Then there is a folly. If there is a error, he can always go for a rectified sort of action. And in any case, Your Honor, it is submitted. If there is a difficulty, the remedy lies with legislature and on its interpretation. Therefore, you can't interpret the law in an unworkable manner. That's our submission. Lastly, Your Honor, he relied upon the judgment of Hemal Raju Shetty. That's a non-judicial High Court judgment, Your Honor, there in Karnataka state. Here, Dayalu and series of other judgments are there, which take a view that it has to be taxed in the year of transfer. So therefore, Your Honor...
What if assuming you were in Maharashtra, you were in Bombay?
Whereas then I would have got some better different arguments. Or maybe the council would have been different.
I think on the straight you can come to the second part, that is his brother's case.
Yeah, you know, in his brother's case, they have already offered in the same, in the year 2, year 3 and year 4. Again, the principal issue is the same thing, you know, the whole thing ought to have been taxed in the year 1. Now, the department has not filed a cross-objection, we are not going to cross-appeal or cross-objection before you all. So I am only submitting my limited segment, limited arguments, that this whole process is unworkable.
Here, what reassessment was required? In the case of Mr. C.
Yes.
Can he reopen?
No, you know, the reopening is to only rectify the correct year of assessment. I want to tax everything in the year 1 because that's the only year.
According to you, there is an income escaping assessment.
It's a literal reading of the law. It's just a literal reading of the law. And the fact that in year 2, year 3 is unworkable. You know, just stretch it 25 years if we receive. So that was unworkable.
Only 2 things, Your Honor. We have discussed E.D. Sassoon's case, and my brother was saying, arises when it arises. It has clearly stated in that E.D. Sassoon, the income arises after accrual when it arises when it is crystallized. In my case, it is not crystallized, it is uncertain.
In that case, concerning business income or capital? The case you are referring to.
But then principle will remain the same according to me, Your Honor. Only one more thing, Your Honor. He said that Bombay is a Bombay High Court judgment. But Bombay High Court judgment has discussed all various Supreme Court judgments and discussed the issue when it arises, when it accrues, and therefore my humble submission will be, I can, if at all, can be taxed only around 2 crores. Much obliged, Your Honor. Case 6.
Before I proceed, this particular case has got multiple grounds and it will take some time. So, considering the time constraint, if you are honest, permit me to proceed further on some other day we can clear this matter.
I am ready, Your Honor.
So this thing is not good, the bench is not good.
Proceed. Yes, obliged. Your Honor, this is a case of titled as demonetization, and probably I may have an objection for that word itself, because the moment we have that word in our mind, probably entire perception of looking at the case changes. And my humble submission before this honorable bench should be that while looking at the facts of this case, only fact of the demonetization should not be overpowering. That is the first submission. Because as I understand the concept of demonetization, and if I refer the circular dated 8/11, the main purpose of that circular was, what was the need of demonetization? It was for the purpose of controlling the fake currency mints. There was so many illegal activities which was pursued by government, and to control that, government felt it necessary to demonetize. It was not to plague the businessman's manner of conducting the business. Law has given me all the possible available resources to go as per the provisions of law. And if I do my conduct in that context, merely because of the demonetization, the entire perspective should not change. That is my first submission. Having said that, as I said, there are multiple grounds, and the first ground is so-called this alleged demonetization, arising out of this alleged demonetization issue. Your Honor, in the period from 9/11 to 30/12, the appellant has deposited a sum of rupees 5 crore in bank in a term called SBL, Specified Bank Loan. And this 5 crore, there are 3 explanations which SC has given. And this, the reason under which, the circumstance under which they are given, that needs to be appreciated. First, 1 crore which I have deposited, Your Honor, was arising of certain transactions which are carried out in the financial year 15-16. I have received certain cash element. And in that cash element, I have not disclosed it earlier. Now, my time limit under 139(4) was available to me. I had an option of revising my return as well. Under 139(1), I have filed my return. But there was some error, there was some mistake. I realized that. So I have revised my return. I have filed my 139(4) return in time, again, with the time allowed to me. When I rectified that aspect in my return of return, while doing so, I was advised that I should go to the 69A. Maybe there could be an argument from my learned friend side that 69A doesn't permit me to do so, because probably 69A only refers that the power is with assessing officer and not with the assessor, except for timing. However, if you see 69A subsequently under 115BPE, which prescribes specified rate at a 30%, and that particular 30% rate, Your Honor should appreciate, when I file my return of income under special rate, it has been provided that 115BPE, if at all there is specific mention.
Does it have a separate column in the income tax?
Yes, it is there. In the paper, the ITR 4 it is there. So I am presuming that yes, that option is also given to me, because ultimately, if at all assessing officer only has to do that, there was no reason to provide it for ITR 4 itself, and that column does exist under special rate chapter.
You mentioned that he has revised the return of income.
Yes,
But that was on account of some error also.
Correct.
Was it an omission or was it a wrong statement in the original return of
wrong
income?
statement. Your Honor, what has happened?
Can you demonstrate what was the reason?
There are 2 elements which I am relying on. One is this particular cash I received in 15-16. That is one part.
So how do you demonstrate?
I'll explain that. Now this 15-16, I was doing an activity of builder and developer, as well as I am also dealing in this accessories or luxury brand accessories. Sure. In that case, certain sales have happened, Your Honor, on cash basis in that period. That was a real fact. Now that particular aspect was after this so-called demonetization. Government after 31st December has given me an option of giving the explanation for the same. So under my web page, I was given a compliance window where cash transaction for 2016 was specified. And I was asked from where did you get this money deposit? And in that declaration also I have clarified that this is out of cash sale. So in cash sale of 15-16, I have made a very specific remark and I have given the document in my paper book at page number 50, where you can find out that I have already specified that in that particular part. Now if I say that, if I specify that, I have disclosed that. Now department further has not made any inquiry further. They have accepted my compliance there. Now having said that, I do not lose my right of revising my return, and which I did. Therefore, in my humble opinion, this first draft I am submitting that yes, I am entitled to revise return. I am entitled to pay the relevant taxes, and therefore that should be accepted. The second portion of 3.50 crore, which I have booked as sale post 8/11, the period post 8/11. The arguments against me which are made are that it was an illegal tender and therefore I am not supposed to accept that illegal tender. But my question, Your Honor, is that if it is an illegal tender, it is changing color. Look at the scheme of the notification. It is changing color. Assume for a moment that I have made certain sale. Say I have given these goods to my customers and they give me a note which is illegal tender. Assume it's a piece of paper. So in a way, it will happen that I have exchanged my goods with a piece of paper. Accepted. Whatever action lies, that's a different issue. But when that piece of paper comes to me, if I go to bankers, it has got a value. So per se it is a illegal tender, that is a question to be examined. Now there is no such bar or restriction. Otherwise, forget all income tax, there is no such restriction of illegal data. If I do some illegal activity, income tax said, even illegal income is also taxable. There is no such bifurcation. So even if I do that, there is no subsequent or further action which lies. And according to me, and as I understand, there are no other penalties also under any other law, not under the Reserve Bank of India or any other law.
So there is no penalty.
There are no actions against accepting this.
Let us restrict to the income tax.
Absolutely. So the point is, therefore, the action of me accepting something, the moment I go to bank, it becomes legal. So therefore, that action should be construed in that format. So even though I did that, I am entitled to receive this money and I am entitled to deposit that money. Very simple. Even this element also I have declared in my compliance method under cash sales. That is also can be examined from my declaration which I filed in the paper. The third part has been alleged on me that the prices have increased or inflated at a higher rate. You know what this has happened actually. In the wake of that mindset, people were ready to exchange the money at whatever price I tell. And I am a businessman now.
100 pence.
Your Honor, that has happened, Your Honor.
100 pence.
I don't know. People were frightened, Your Honor. That time the situation was totally different. We are now after 4 years. But Your Honor, that time the situation was totally different. And people were really not aware of what to do with this money. And they were doing it. Now is it my fault, Your Honor? That is the issue which should be appreciated, Your Honor. And therefore, even this hike is also explainable. And there is no such abnormality. That is what I want to submit before this commission. Then the last element, that is 50 lakhs rupees, which has been it is cash on hand. Now, Your Honor, this was a cash on hand, which was there continuously in my books of accounts. It was there. Now, assessing officer's allegation.
It was already disclosed earlier.
It was already disclosed. It is appearing as opening balance. There is no doubt about it. Only assessing officer allegation is that why do I withdraw cash of 25,000, 30,000 if I have 50 lakhs? Your Honor, assessing is in the habit of that. I will say that. It is, I don't know, there is no
This is wrong habit for years together.
It is, he has accepted that. And I don't think that it is punishable under the Income Tax Act or under RIDA.
No, but would it be a normal, would any normal person do that?
Sorry.
Would any normal person do that?
It depends on the psychology of a person, you know.
Okay.
Because one doesn't know who loves what. So it depends. So, Your Honor, because of that, holding your cash is not a crime, not definitely under Income Tax Act. So definitely, I believe I am holding a cash and which I have deposited and it is expensed. And again, I point out that under compliance window, I have answered that and there is no further action or inquiry on that ground. So this takes color of this entire cash deposit. So my humble submission just to conclude this aspect, that now let us not look at this law or this concept, such provisions under Income Tax Act and denomination. With the example, I can give one small example. I can give an example of a no parking board. A no parking board can be displayed at the beginning of the lane. So person understands that if you enter into this lane, you are stuck.
There's no entry or no parking.
So no entry board. I'm sorry. I'm thankful for your honors for that. So no entry board put up at a display. You are aware that you are not allowed to enter. But if a no entry board is put up at the end of the road, and when I go from this road and I can ask that boss, you cross, then there is a no entry board. I cannot explain that. And that is what is happening in this knowledge. This was the conduct.
Here, let me distinguish in your example. It's not that no entry board which is displayed at the end. At the end, what is displayed is it's a one way. So don't come back.
The point is, something which I am not aware what is going to happen. I must tell you, in all of these 50 days, so-called, and they are seen these 50 days, 74 notifications, clarifying every time changing the stance. I understand. A learned friend will definitely argue.
Those all are not to do with anything with the deposits. Those are all these clarifications there for the withdrawals part, how much you can withdraw current account, saving account, ATM, etc., etc. Not let us get carried away.
The element of uncertainty testing. And my point is that element of uncertainty. A businessman will do a business. He has to go right through the business. I agree with that. Again, law has given various mechanisms to have, suppose he makes a mistake, he can correct. And this is a process. For so many years, 1961 onwards, 1922 onwards, we will see that income tax has given sufficient checks and controls. Just because of certain actions which has happened, you should not be viewed negatively. That is my submission. So that is with reference to alleged demonetization. Now the next ground, Your Honor, is in the context of 68 addition of 50 lakhs rupees on the basis of the fact that there was Mr. A who has given me the money. And this Mr. A, it has been alleged that is a pauper, he doesn't have much resources. I don't know whether that is really true or Mr. A is showing that, I really don't know that. But incidentally,